Hello, so are you having trouble entering hypnosis? Have you watched loads of videos and listened to loads of audio tracks, maybe even read loads of books, and no matter what you do, it just doesn't work? Are you someone who maybe like myself is a hypnotherapist and you're getting frustrated because when clients are coming to see you, you just can't get them into hypnosis? Well, in this video, I'm going to go over everything you need to know to get rid of this problem once and for all. And by the end of this video, you'll be able to easily enter hypnosis anytime you choose to. So let's have a look at how you actually hypnotise someone, because I believe when I was trained, this is just something I wasn't taught. I was told what to do, but it was never explained why I had to do it. And by the end of watching this video, you'll be able to hypnotise someone in pretty much any way you choose. You can hypnotise someone by putting your finger on your nose. You can hypnotise someone by jumping up and down in the air and doing star jumps 3 times. Now, people say, how could you ever do that? How could you possibly hypnotise someone just by touching your nose and they drop into hypnosis? When you understand what I'm going to say in this video, it all makes sense and you'll be able to do those things too. Okay, so the first thing you need to understand, one of only 2 things you need to understand to be able to use hypnosis easily, is something called BICE. This stands for belief, imagination, conviction, and expectation. So let's go through each one of those in turn. If you don't get this in yourself or in the person you're hypnotising, then it won't work. I'll come back to that point in a moment, what I just said about the person you're hypnotising. That's a really important thing to understand. But let's go through BICE. And if you understand this, and if you get this, you'll be able to hypnotise someone easily. B, belief. You must believe hypnosis works. Okay? If you want to go into hypnosis yourself, you must believe that it works. Now, this was strange when I first started. I thought, well, why must I believe it? Because if it works, it works. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. Why does me believing it make any difference? It makes a big difference. And we will look at this more in the second part later on. Now, remember that, because belief is a really important thing. You must believe it's going to work. But I will come back to this point later and explain why. I, imagination. Imagination is the language of the subconscious. So in other words, the way that we communicate with our mind is through imagination. We're going to do a quick exercise now. I want you to just close your eyes, and we're not going to do hypnosis, don't worry about that. You shouldn't worry about it anyway, because it's fun. But just close your eyes, we're going to do a fun experiment. I want you to imagine that you're standing in front of the house of a famous celebrity. It could be a sports person or a singer or whatever. Anyone that you think a celebrity, anyone famous you can think of. And I want you to imagine their house. Just think about how it looks. Think about where it is in the world. Think about the sounds you can hear, maybe birdsong or traffic or whatever. Think about what you can feel, the temperature. Is it warm? Is it cold? Now open your eyes again. Could you imagine that house? Where was it? Could you imagine maybe a big house, a big mansion? Maybe it was somewhere exotic. If you can imagine, you can go into hypnosis. And this is the thing, 99% of people can imagine easily. You were probably imagining a big house, a mansion with a swimming pool in some sunny, part of America or something like that. That's what many people imagine. But there are a minority of people who have real trouble imagining. I had a client once sitting right here in his chair. This is when I was practicing to become a hypnotist. And I asked him to imagine things, and he had no imagination whatsoever. And I said to him, well, are you married? And he said, yeah, I've been married for 40 years. And I said to him, well, just imagine your wife. And he said, I can't imagine her. And I said, well, what does she look like? I don't know. You don't know. How can you not know what your wife looks like after 40 years? I didn't say that, but that's what I was thinking. I said, well, what does she sound like? Can you describe her voice? I don't know. Well, can you describe a perfume maybe? What kind of smell do you associate? What kind of fragrance, perfume? I don't know. And I said to him, you've been married to your wife for 40 years and you have no idea what she looks like, sounds like or smells like. And he said, no. And I said to him, well look, I said, I want you to go home and tell your wife that you've got no idea what she looks like or sounds like or smells like, and let me know what happens. You must have imagination. If you can't imagine things, you can't do hypnosis. Now, most people can, but you need to bear in mind, if you're struggling with hypnosis, you need to go through these steps. And if you can't tick off all of these steps, so far we've done belief and imagination. If you can't tick these things off, then you need to work on those and improve those before hypnosis is possible. Next one, conviction. People must be sure that you can get them into hypnosis. And again, I'll come back to that point in a moment, but they must be sure you can hypnotise them. They must be convicted, that they must have conviction that they know that it's going to work, and they're sure it's going to work. Because if they have any doubt whatsoever, guess what? It won't work. They must be certain it's going to work. E, expectation. I like to call this one education as well. This comes back to what I was saying when I said I'll come back to that point in a moment. All hypnosis is self-hypnosis. You cannot hypnotise someone else. You can only hypnotise yourself. Now, I know in this video I've said hypnotise someone else. That's what people expect. E, expectation. They expect me, the hypnotist, to hypnotise them. So sometimes it actually helps if they believe that, because they think he's going to hypnotise me. And that helps bring on the expectation that it's going to work. However, if you're finding it hard to go into hypnosis, or you're finding it hard to work with someone else who wants to enter hypnosis, you need to educate them. Tell them that all hypnosis is self-hypnosis. You can't do it to them, because I've had clients sitting here, and I don't normally work here, by the way. This is when I was practicing. I used to do free sessions and I used to practice on people, but I now work online just out of interest. But yeah, I used to have people who would sit there and say, well, come on then, do it. And I'd say, when are you going to do it? I'm not going to do anything. You have to hypnotise yourself. Now, how do you do that? Because people quite rightly say, well, how can I? I don't know what I'm doing. We all know how to enter hypnosis, but we don't know that we know. Okay? That sounds a bit confusing. Think of it like sleep. Now, hypnosis and sleep are not the same thing, right? I'm trying to keep this video simple. I can make tons of videos on this, but I'm trying to keep this as simple as I can. Hypnosis and sleep, not the same thing at all. If I ask you now, how do you go to sleep? You go to bed, you lie down, you shut your eyes, yeah. But that's how you prepare for sleep. How do you actually go to sleep? No one can answer that. I don't know. It sort of happens, doesn't it? I don't know that I do it. I don't say a magic word. It just happens. That's the same with hypnosis. People say, how do I activate it? You just know. All I can say is, you know how to do it, but you don't know that you know. Okay? So, I know it sounds a bit confusing, but quite simply, if people are having trouble going into it and asking questions like, how do I do it? You need to know that all hypnosis is self-hypnosis. No one is going to do it to you. You have to do it to yourself. And how you do that, it's just something you know. And if you think about it, you won't find the answer. You just do it. It naturally happens. Okay? So, if you have those four things, belief, imagination, conviction, and expectation / education, then hypnosis is going to work. And you might think, How do I do all that? That sounds so confusing, so complicated. And I know you might be watching this thinking, this is just making things worse. It's really simple, okay? Do you know how you get BICE? Let me give you an example. I'm standing at a train station. I get talking to someone and they ask me, what do you do for a living? And I say, I'm a hypnotist. And those of you that are hypnotists will know 99.9% of people have the same reaction. They go, oh wow, you're a hypnotist. Could you hypnotise me? I'd love to get rid of this problem. I'd love to do that thing where I can't remember my name, like on the stage shows. You've already got BICE. Belief, they already believe. Imagination, they're already thinking about the things they want to work on. Conviction, you've told them you're a hypnotist. They're convinced. Expectation, they've already told you what they want to work on. I want to do that thing where I can't remember my name. I want you to stick my hands together so I can't pull them apart. You've already got it. So how do you get BICE? You tell someone you're a hypnotist. It's that simple. As soon as you say you're a hypnotist, if the person goes like, oh wow, most people are, oh, that's interesting. I had a time once when I had a gas engineer come round to service my boiler, and he was standing right there and he was writing down his book, you know, all the things they have to write down, the dates and what they've done to the boiler. And he said, what do you do for a living? And I said, I'm a hypnotist. You're a hypnotist? I love that stuff. Can you hypnotise me? BICE, you've already got it. What if you're not a hypnotist? Well, that's a bit harder. But all you have to do is tell someone, oh yeah, I know hypnosis. And most times you'll get the same reaction. So that's the first thing. You must have belief. Well, the person who wants to be hypnotised must have belief, imagination, conviction, and expectation/education. If you just go up to someone in the street and say, sleep, it's not going to do anything. Why? Because they don't know you're a hypnotist. They don't even know what you're doing. They're not in the right state of mind. You must prepare people by telling them that. There are ways you can hypnotise people covertly, so you can actually hypnotise them without them knowing. You can't hypnotise someone who doesn't want to be hypnotised, for reasons we'll talk about next. But you can hypnotise someone kind of in a crafty way, which we don't do because that's a bit naughty. But as long as you've spoken to them and you've built a rapport with them, and this can take seconds, doesn't have to take minutes. What do you do? I'm a hypnotist. That's it. If they react in the right way, you've got that rapport within seconds. Let's now look at the second part, and this is really how to hypnotise someone. If you skipped straight to this part without watching part one, then you need to go back and watch the first part of this video, because this may not work unless you have watched that and understood that. You also need to understand that there are certain times when it would not be good to use hypnosis. Now, hypnosis is perfectly safe. You can't get stuck in it. You can't do any damage with it. But there are other things you need to watch out for. If the person who wants to go into hypnosis has any kind of bipolar, schizophrenia, any mental health issues like that, don't use hypnosis. If they have epilepsy, asthma, it's possible you can do it, but you need to check with a doctor first, okay? So if you're not certain about this, if you think in any way, maybe I've got that, maybe I shouldn't do it, I'm not a doctor, okay? I can't sit here reading off a list of what we call contraindications. There are not that many of them, but there are certain times it will not be good to use hypnosis. If you take what I'm about to say and decide to use this on yourself, that's up to you, okay? I'm not here to read out a list of people who shouldn't use hypnosis. You've got to make certain that you or the person that you're using this with is safe to use it. But don't worry, most times, most people are absolutely fine. It's not dangerous, it's just there are certain things you do need to be careful of. You should never just offer hypnosis to anyone without first making sure that it's safe to do so. But let's assume that you think, well, yeah, I'm fine, I want to do it, I want to experience it. There are two things you need to do to get hypnosis. One, bypass the critical faculty. 2. Establish selective thinking. Now what does that mean? If you're thinking, well, I don't know what that means. Let me explain it in simple terms because I don't like using technical jargon. Bypass the critical faculty. Every one of us in our mind has a thing called the critical faculty, which is quite simply a filter. So when someone says something to you, like imagine I come up to you in the street and say, give me all your money. Your critical faculty thinks, no, I don't want to give you all my money. So you'll say, no. The idea comes in, the idea goes out, you reject it. A great example is, have you ever been walking along a street and you get these people come up to you and say, we could save you energy on your gas bill? Idea comes in, you analyse it, critical faculty, the filter, thinks, is that a good idea? No. Now that's interesting because why would you reject saving money on your gas bill? Because you see, your critical faculty knows that they're not trying to save you money on your gas bill. They're just trying to make money for themselves by earning commission. Because everyone they get signed up on their scheme, they get commission for. You see how clever the critical faculty is. And that's why salespeople can have a hard time selling things. Do you want to buy a used car? No thanks. That bloke looks dodgy, I'm not buying a used car for him. So you need to get round that. So you need to get it so that when you say to someone, sleep, nope, not doing that. You need to get the idea past their critical faculty. Now, hypnosis is not sleep, but people just associate it with sleep. It's what they think it is, so the word sleep is often used. So how do you get the command sleep past someone's critical faculty so it goes into the mind? I'm just pretending the mind's back here, and it works. All you need to do is to distract the critical faculty. How do you do that? Well, you simply distract it by keeping it busy. For example, you've probably all seen the old example of a hypnotist swinging a pocket watch like this and people are watching the watch. You are so fixated on the watch that everything else goes out of your mind. And when they say sleep, your mind is so busy focusing on the watch. Sleep slips past the critical faculty and you get hypnosis because you'll act upon that idea. That's how it works. When you see people doing things like, stare at the ceiling, you've probably heard hypnotists say stare at a spot on the ceiling or on the wall. So you're staring and staring and staring and your eyes get tired and your eyes close and then you just want to relax, sleep, and the command goes in because you're so focused on that point, it's like you're not aware of the command coming in. That is something I can do a whole series of videos on, okay? But that is what you must do. The easiest way of doing it is to either fixate someone's attention on something, or the classic Dave Elman method is to make by the way, Dave Elman, if you don't know, you should know, Dave Elman's book, Hypnotherapy. Buy this book and read it. It's the best book you'll get on hypnosis and hypnotherapy. Everything I'm saying to you now, I learned from this brilliant book. What Dave Elman used to do, and Dave Elman, by the way, if you don't know, Dave Elman is one of the greatest hypnotists of all time, and he taught thousands of doctors in America. Because people who might think hypnosis is mumbo jumbo, it's not. It's been scientifically and medically proven to work by tens of thousands of doctors. The NHS in England recommends hypnotherapy. The American Medical Association recommends hypnotherapy. It's all scientifically proven and confirmed to work. Just in case people think this is all nonsense, it's not. What I'm saying now is scientific fact proven by science. So, what Dave Elman used to do is he would say to someone, you can do this now if you want, if it's safe for you to do so, if you're not driving, if you're not operating machinery, do this. Close your eyes down, and I want you to imagine that all the muscles around your eyelids have gone loose and limp and lazy. And if you concentrate on relaxing those muscles so much to the point that they just don't want to open, you'll find that when you try and open your eyes, if you really relax those muscles, your eyes just won't open. It's a funny feeling to be sitting there and you're trying to open your eyes, and I can't open my eyes until I say no, I can. and I opened them. So there, I bypassed my own critical faculty because I knew I could open my eyes, but I just told myself I couldn't. That brings us on to point 2, establish selective thinking. When you give someone a command, it can override everything else. So when I told myself I can't open my eyes, no matter what else I did, I just couldn't open my eyes. Until somebody tells you, you can open your eyes, oh, I can open them. That's how selective thinking works. The example Dave Elman used to give is once you've bypassed the critical faculty, you can then say to yourself, my right hand is going numb and I can't feel a thing in my right hand and it's going totally and utterly numb. You'll then find that you can't feel a thing in your right hand, and you can even do things like hit it. You can put needles into the skin and you won't feel a thing. So that is how you get hypnosis. But there is one more thing you need to know. So you've done the BICE and you understand the thing about the critical faculty, and I know that can take a little while to get your head around. I have written a page on this on my website, which I'll link to in the description. You might find it helpful to go and read that. Now, having said all of this, there is one more thing you must do for hypnosis to work. This is where many people go wrong, because you might be watching this thinking, well, I knew about BICE and I knew about the critical faculty, but it still wasn't working. I'm going to tell you why. I want you to imagine that you go into a gym and you meet a personal trainer and you say to them, I want to get big muscles on my arm. I want big biceps. I want to look really beefy and meaty. And they say, okay, what I need to do is go over to that piece of equipment over there. So you sit down and you've got a big weight above your head. And you say, yeah, what do I need to do? And they say, you need to lift the weight and then put it back down. So you go, it didn't work. I've got no muscles. You said my muscles will get bigger. Why didn't that work? The answer is, of course, you need to do it more than once. So then people say, okay, so I need to do it 3 times, 2, 3. It's not working. My muscles aren't working. They're not getting bigger. This is rubbish. It doesn't work. I'm off. Do you get it? Does that make sense? Right? It's the same with hypnosis. You're not going to walk into a gym, lift a weight 3 times and get massive muscles. You need the one thing that many hypnotists and people who are into hypnosis simply don't do. You need practice. You've got to practice this over and over and over again. Sometimes some people can do it straight away. That's great. I was not one of those people. It took me hours and hours and hours of practice before I could do it. I sympathise with anyone who struggles to go into hypnosis because I struggled. I still struggle even now. I can do it to other people. I can help other people. But I, myself, really struggle with it. I know it works. I've done it. I've experienced it. But it's so hard for me to do. Why? Well, that's for me to work out. And it's for you to work out. I know that there'll be people watching this video who say, well, it doesn't work. I believe it. I can imagine it. I'm convinced. I expect it. And I get the thing about the critical faculty. And I've done it all. And it doesn't work. It does work. I can promise you 100% it does work. If it isn't working for you, you need to work out why that is. Look back at BICE. You either don't believe, and you can say, I believe. Really? Sometimes I meet people and I ask them, do you believe in hypnosis? And they say, yeah. Does that sound convincing? Do they really believe? The words that come out of their mouth are not what they mean. Okay? Do you believe in hypnosis? Oh yeah, I love it. I've done it before. That's the believer. You must get all of these things correct. Belief, imagination, conviction, expectation. You must bypass the critical faculty and you must establish selective thinking. So overall, that's 6 things. I can promise you with all of my heart that if you cannot get hypnosis, you are not doing one of those 6 things. Even if you think you are, even if you say you are, even if you're convinced you are, you're not. I can promise you that's the only reason that you won't get hypnosis, if any one of those 6 things isn't completely done. Some people are lucky, they can just do it straight away. I remember a time I was doing a session over my phone because I work online, and this man appeared on the camera and I said to him, "Are you ready to do it?" And he said, "Yeah." I said, "Do you want to do some hypnosis?" And he said, "Yeah." And he just went, pfft. He was absolutely out, like he was flopping around like a fish. And all I'd done is ask him, "Do you want to do some hypnosis?" And he just went. He just absolutely went, because he was so built up and so expectant that I was a hypnotist and he was going to be hypnotised. He just went. I was trying not to laugh. It was one of the first sessions I did, and I hadn't even done anything, and the pure expectation had just tripped him into hypnosis. Wouldn't it be nice to be one of those people? And this is what I need to understand as well. Some people are proud they can't be hypnotised. You can't get me. Can't beat me. I can't be hypnotised. Those are the unfortunate people that are missing out. It's nothing to be proud of. If you can't be hypnotised, that's a terrible thing to resist it and not want it and not believe in it, and you're missing out on so much. You will meet people who are just proud they can't be hypnotised. Well, what do you do with those people? Nothing you can do. They're going to have to go through their life proud of the fact that they can't experience hypnosis, which is a real shame because they're missing out on so much. But believe me, if you want it to happen, and if you expect it to happen, it will happen. So I hope this video has helped you. Please let me know any questions or comments, and I'll get back to you whenever I can. I know that there is loads more to go over. There's much more to hypnosis than just what we've said in this video. You could talk for hours about techniques, strategies. We haven't even mentioned until now things like yes sets, truisms. There's tons more you can go over. Let me know what other videos you'd like to see me make in the comments. Check out these other videos on the screen now, and I will have more videos coming soon of me demonstrating these things. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon for more videos.